So looking at like the meat and potatoes of the season, you and I had a conversation earlier this week, and you made a point that I think was really interesting, and I want you to kind of expound upon it a little bit. You had mentioned the idea of kind of pairing DeAngelo Russell with Jared Vanderbilt and Rui Hachimura with Gabe Vincent. And I think it's really smart because Vanderbilt is this, kind of second tier, maybe top tier perimeter defender. And then Rui Hachimura can struggle with that, but Gabe Vincent's clearly a much better point of attack defender than DeAngelo Russell. So what can you like? Do you think those pairings are going to have to stay together, or do you think that Darvin Ham's going to go with somebody different in that 3 spot? Like after this 4 days of practice, is there any intel on who's in the lead to get that 3 spot with the perimeter defense issue?
Yeah, I mean, it's been the talk of camp. Like that's the one question the Lakers have right now is who is the fifth starter, and specifically who is the starting small forward. Unless they throw a wild card in, and I know Jackson Hayes did some scrimmaging with AD the first couple of days as a 5-4 tandem, and AD spoke about that today at practice. But for my understanding, it's been a competition between Rui, Vando, and Taurean Prince. Taurean Prince being a dark horse just because of his 3-point shooting. And I would say around average defensively, not going to kill you on that end, but not necessarily a plus the way that a Vando is or a Rui can be, potentially in bigger matchups, as we saw him defending Jokic in the playoffs. But I think, those tandems make the most sense. So with D'Lo starting, it feels like Vando's getting the edge a bit in camp so far. I know that first day, which is theoretically, I mean, first day of camp, like that's the first thing you want to see. Vando was the primary guy with the starting group. So I want to give him the slight edge right now, but everything I've been hearing entering camp was that Rui was the favorite. So it feels like there's some mixed messaging going on right now. Maybe the Lakers are trying to just play it coy and they don't want us to know yet. But everything I've been hearing for whatever reason, it's the preseason, like, and people are going to see it in Denver on opening night. I don't think it really dramatically shifts things, but to your point, I think they should try and keep those pairings together. And that's where I see it potentially as you start D'Lo and Vando, but you end up closing with Gabe and Rui, similar to the playoffs, where for those first couple of series, it was a lot of D'Lo starting alongside Vando. And then when it came to crunch time, it was Dennis and Rui closing games. And that ended up being the Lakers' best lineup was their big three with Dennis and Rui. I could see it being similar with Rui and Gabe. So that's how I kind of see that breaking down. Personally, I would start Rui. I think that each of the 3 small forward options has clear strengths, but they also have clear weaknesses. And to me, Rui is the best blend between offense and defense. And I know he's not the perimeter defender that Vando is, but I just think starting Vando comes with so much risk offensively of, we saw him working on his corner threes today after practice, I would say shooting in the 30% based on what I saw. I didn't see all of them, but was not shooting great, I would say. And, I think that's just a concern of, can this guy be our full-time starter? Like I look at it as if you start Vando in the regular season, that is a temporary measure. When come playoff time, he's probably going to have to move to the bench and be more of like a 12 to 15 minute a night guy. So I don't see the point in having a different starting lineup in the regular season versus the playoffs. I know you have to make adjustments, but for me, Rui is the best of those 3 players. He's getting paid the most of those 3 players. And I think he offers you the best blend of offense and defense.
Has there been any buzz surrounding Taurean Prince? Because I look at him as, when you look at those 3 forwards, Rui functionally on offense kind of can play the 3 because he can shoot well and he can attack closeouts but he can also kind of mismatch attack a little bit in the post. But defensively, he's clearly a 4. Like he's not a great screen navigator. He's more of a guy that can switch and guard bigger players. And then Vanderbilt defends like a 3, but offensively is like a 4. But Taurean to me is like that best mix of like perimeter defense at the wing and perimeter offense at the wing. Does he have any chance to crack into this conversation, or is he kind of like clearly the 3rd guy in that tier?
I think he has a chance. I would put him 3rd right now. I think it's going to be Rui or Vando ultimately starting, but Taurean got a shot on day 2 as the primary guy with the starting group, I've been told. So he's been in the mix. And again, he's by far the best shooter almost a career 40% 3-point shooter. Rui, we'll see if he can translate his playoff success into the regular season, but he was a guy who shot 29% with the Lakers after the trade deadline. Then that bumped up to just over 48% in the postseason. So Taurean offers clear value as a shooter. I just don't know if I don't know if there's a big gap between, say, trying to make him your primary wing defender and trying to make Rui your primary wing defender. Like Rui, he said he hasn't slimmed down. He looks slimmer. He looks more athletic. We've seen some of those scrimmaging clips that the Lakers social team has posted. He's taking guys off the dribble and dunking and attacking the rim with force. So I think Rui, again, is the best of the three. I would say I've talked to some people at the team that are like, why don't you just go matchup based? And why don't we have a revolving starting lineup where some games, if you need the perimeter defense for a certain matchup, go Vando. If you need, I think against Denver, Rui makes more sense. Like for opening night, you put Rui on Jokic, and then you have AD as roaming and helping on the back line. Whereas Vando, I think it's going to be a similar thing where they just completely ignore him, and he kind of doesn't really have a clear guide to defend. Like I don't think Murray is a great matchup for him. So we'll see. Again, all the intel I'd gotten before camp was Rui. Seems like since camp has started, they've been leaning a little bit more towards Vando, but we're not really going to know until the end of preseason. That's what Darvin said of when we'll actually see the full rotation. Will probably be either the second to last preseason game or the final one.